My name is Evelyn. I am 41 years old, and this is the story I never thought I would tell. For years, I lived in a house that looked perfect from the outside. Neighbors would wave, compliment my garden, call us the ideal couple. But inside, silence was my constant companion. My husband, Daniel, was a good man. At least, he used to be. But his job had swallowed him whole. He was gone more than he was home. Endless business trips, late nights, tired excuses. When he was present, he wasn't really there. We spoke only of schedules, bills, weather. No warmth, no spark, no trace of the love we once shared. I told myself it was normal, that this was marriage, that comfort had simply replaced passion. But deep down, I knew something inside me was fading. Piece by piece, year by year, I was becoming invisible. One spring morning, I received a letter. A handwritten letter, something rare these days. The handwriting was familiar, yet older. It was from Gabriel. Gabriel had been part of my life decades ago, a childhood friend, a boy who had once lived down the street. We had shared secrets, laughter, even a fleeting crush when we were teenagers. But then life carried us away, and we lost touch. The letter was simple. I'll be in town for a few weeks. I'd love to catch up. If you're free, I'd like to see you. My heart skipped. I told myself it was innocent. Two old friends reconnecting, nothing more. But deep down, I felt something stir. A spark I thought I'd buried long ago. When we met, I almost didn't recognize him. Gabriel was no longer the lanky boy I remembered. He was taller, broader, with a calm maturity in his face. But his smile, the same boyish, gentle smile, had survived time. "Evelyn," he said, his voice warm, and suddenly it felt as if no years had passed at all. We walked through the park, catching up on decades. He asked about my life, my dreams. He looked at me, not through me, not past me, but at me. It had been so long since anyone had done that. Days turned into weeks, and our meetings became frequent. Coffee shops, bookstores, long walks. We laughed like teenagers. We shared stories we had never told anyone else. But what unnerved me most was the way Gabriel saw me. He noticed when I wore my hair differently. He asked about the books I read. He listened when I spoke, truly listened, and slowly, dangerously, I began to feel alive again. The first time his hand brushed mine, it was accidental. Or at least, I told myself it was. But the shock that ran through me was undeniable. I pulled away quickly, hiding trembling fingers in my coat pocket. That night, I lay awake replaying the moment. Why had my heart raced? Why had I not wanted to let go? The truth scared me. I was standing on the edge of something forbidden, and part of me wanted to fall. One evening, the sky opened and rain poured down. We ran together beneath the storm, laughing breathlessly until we found shelter under an old oak tree. Soaked, shivering, but smiling, Gabriel turned to me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The world outside blurred into gray, but between us, something burned bright. "You haven't changed," he whispered. "You're still the girl I remember, maybe even more beautiful now." My throat tightened. I should have walked away. I should have broken the moment with a laugh, a joke, anything. But I stayed. The silence between us grew heavy, charged. His eyes searched mine, asking a question he didn't dare voice, and my silence gave the answer. That night, when I returned home, I could still feel the ghost of his touch lingering on my skin. Daniel was asleep in the bedroom, his phone buzzing. With work emails on the nightstand, I stood in the doorway, soaked shoes leaving marks on the floor, and realized something terrifying. I no longer knew which life was real. The one with Daniel, silent and predictable, or the one with Gabriel, dangerous and alive. From that moment, I knew my world would never again be the same. The storm broke 3 nights later. Rain lashed against the windows. The sky growled with thunder. Inside, silence pressed heavier than the storm outside. Daniel stood in the doorway of their bedroom. His face was pale, his eyes restless. He had been watching her for days, sensing something was wrong but unwilling to speak it aloud. Now, the words burst out. "Evelyn, Is there someone else? The question cut through her like glass. Her throat closed. For a moment she thought of lying, but the truth hung between them, undeniable. She didn't answer. And her silence was the answer. Daniel's face twisted. Hurt, anger, disbelief, grief, all tangled at once. His voice broke as he whispered, "I thought we were just tired. I didn't think you'd—" He stopped, unable to finish. Tears blurred her vision. Her lips trembled. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. But apologies sounded empty in that storm-soaked room. Daniel turned away, his shoulders shaking. For the first time in years, she saw the man she had once loved, not distant, not distracted, but raw and wounded. And in that moment, Evelyn realized something devastating. Their marriage hadn't ended tonight. It had ended long ago. The silence between them had killed it years before Gabriel ever returned. The next morning, the storm had not yet lifted. Evelyn left the house early, walking through rain that soaked her to the skin. Her heart pounded as she reached Gabriel's door. When he opened it, his eyes lit up. Hope flickered across his face, fragile and desperate. He reached for her, ready to pull her into the life she thought she wanted. But standing there, drenched and trembling, Evelyn froze. For days, she had been telling herself she was choosing between two men. But the truth struck her like lightning. It wasn't Gabriel she was chasing. It wasn't Daniel she was mourning. It was herself. The girl she had been at 19. Wild, hopeful, alive. The woman she had lost while trying to be the perfect wife, the quiet shadow. Gabriel had awakened her, yes. But he wasn't the answer. He was a mirror. He reminded her of who she used to be, but he could not give her back to herself. Her chest ached as she stepped back. "Thank you, but I can't," she whispered. Gabriel's hand lingered in the air, empty. His face fell, but his eyes softened. He understood. Some loves are not meant to stay. Some loves arrive only to awaken what has been asleep. That night, Evelyn sat by her window as the rain slowly eased into silence. Her heart still ached. Loss has a way of clinging to the bones. But for the first time in decades, she didn't feel hollow. She felt raw, exposed, alive. The worst pain wasn't losing Daniel. It wasn't walking away from Gabriel. It was the years she had lost forgetting herself. She thought back to the girl who once danced barefoot in the summer grass. The young woman who once believed in dreams bigger than kitchens and calendars. That girl had disappeared into the silence of a loveless home. But now, she could hear her again. Faint, but alive. Daniel slept in the other room that night. When Evelyn saw him the next morning, his face was tired, eyes red from a night without rest. He didn't speak. Neither did she. But for the first time, she didn't feel the need to fill the silence with excuses. She knew what she had to do. This wasn't about Daniel anymore. It wasn't about Gabriel either. It was about choosing herself. And that choice would not be easy. It would mean endings. It would mean beginning from nothing. But she had already been nothing for too long. Now she would not fade again. Weeks later, Evelyn walked alone through the same park where Gabriel had once held her. The leaves had turned golden, falling gently around her. She breathed deeply, letting the air fill her lungs. For the first time, she wasn't waiting for a letter. She wasn't waiting for Daniel to notice her. She wasn't waiting for anyone. She was learning to notice herself. Each step forward was heavy but freeing. Each breath reminded her she had survived the storm. And somewhere deep inside, the girl she had lost was finally whispering back. Evelyn was no longer invisible. She was no longer the shadow at her own dinner table. She was Evelyn, and this time, she would never let herself disappear again.